my shorts.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Dave Lee Down Under podcast. I'm of course your host Dave Lee, and this is episode number 61. Is that 61 or 62?
62.
62.
Tickety boo, 62.
Tickety boo, 62.
Tickety boo.
Yeah.
Oh, I can give you another one. Turn the screw, 62.
Yeah, both a bit shit.
I like the tickety boo one, it's not bad.
That's alright. Sounds very, very English.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
Does a bit. Yeah, I was a bit confused because I've got 61 written in my score in my spreadsheet today, but it is 60.
Been a bit slack
Anyway,
updating that a bit.
I know. Of course, the podcast goes out every single Monday. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about that in a minute. The podcast, of course, does go out on all the major podcasting platforms for now, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible. The visual element is available it's available on YouTube over on the podcast channel, which goes out 2 days earlier to Patreon supporters. So head over to patreon.com/Dave Lee Down Under if you'd like to support the podcast, if you'd like to support Dave Lee Down Under brand, whatever else. You can, of course, find me on YouTube at Dave Lee Down Under, over on Twitter and Instagram, Letterboxd, all that jazz. There's links in the description of every podcast. And if you want to write into the show, you can shoot an email to daveleepod@gmail.com. If you're listening on the podcasting platforms, please leave a review and a rating.
Only good ones,
it. Only the good ones, because they sit. I know. The bad ones are bad, good ones are good. Go ahead, give a good one, whatever else. And of course, as always, I'm joined today by old mate Rick.
G'day guys, hope we're all well. We're doing well in Melbourne.
Yeah?
Loving it, loving life.
That's good. Doing well here in England.
Yeah, well.
Except for these winds.
Oh yeah, big wins there today, haven't you?
Big winds today.
And that's inside that's inside the house.
Yeah, 90-mile-an-hour winds at the moment.
Oh my god, that's big.
People are taking days off work. Just got a message from Alicia. She said absolutely no one is in, just her. Everyone else is taking the day off because it's too windy. In fact, I opened the window in here and it almost flew out of my hands. So there is actually very, very strong winds.
Wow.
Madness. Anyway, so that's how we're going. How's this? We're chatting away and the theme's still going.
Yeah.
That's got to be a record. Oh, it's coming to an end now. Here we go. Oh, yeah. This is very unprofessional.
It is a bit.
Podcasting.
There's
There's that gag again. There's that gag again.
Just love listening to the theme. There we go. All done.
All done, finally.
Yep.
We just thought we'd enjoy that for one of the last times.
Shh. Don't give it away.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah.
So, how's it been going over there then?
Yeah, good. We're less restrictions now. We can go to we can go to pubs and stuff without restrictions now. I think you still got to check in, I think, to pubs and clubs and stuff, and dance floors are now open, so if you're into dancing, you get your jive on, off you go. Have fun.
Yep.
All that sort of stuff. Might be able to go and pick up and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Now that COVID is over, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently it's all over.
Exactly right. Life's slowly leading back to normal, which is nice. I hope it is for everybody listening.
Yeah, hopefully. It's very nice.
Mm.
Should we tell the news now?
Might as well.
Not the news.
Good a time as any.
Now's as good a time as any. It's the open period of the show where we can just talk. This is the Dave Lee Down Under podcast, and this is our second last show.
Second last one for now.
Second last.
Yeah.
For now, we have decided. Have you been listening regularly? You know the struggle it's been for us to just try and get this podcast working, trying to find a format that works, trying to build, etc., etc. It has got to a point now where it has become it's become quite difficult to maintain
the enthusiasm.
Well, that's probably part of it. Yeah, it's been hard to maintain about everything.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain getting up and doing it, and it's not growing, and it's hard to grow a podcast and stuff. The market's probably really saturated, and times are a bit of a premium for both of us at the moment, and particularly with Dave in Europe and me back here in Australia, it gets a little difficult to sort of get the timing right for us to both be up and about and
spry.
Yeah, Dave's not long got out of bed and had a shower and breakfast, and I've just had dinner and I'm knackered from a day's work. So it's got to come a point when you sort of think, oh well, let's move on from it for a little while and see what happens.
Yeah, sort of many factors. I mean, as I said, you've been listening for this year and a half, I suppose, and we've always been pretty open and honest about the work process behind the podcast and trying to workshop getting the shows right and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's just multiple factors that have just led us to realize that the biggest issue, I guess, for most of the time has been the time that needs to be dedicated to something like this.
Yeah.
Particularly when I've got my YouTube shit going on as well, which is my main focus and where I earn my living. Realizing that the podcast takes a day a week out of my time, out of my YouTube schedule, which adds up to about 5 days a week, which is like a full working week.
Yeah.
Worth the time that I have to spend away from my videos. I'm overshooting
deadlines.
My deadlines. I'm finding it really hard to kind of keep up with everything that I need to do on YouTube. Lots of factors. There's lots of stuff that I have to do for YouTube. Like I always say that you produce three kinds of content. You produce the content you want to produce. You produce the content your viewers want you to produce, and then there's like the contractual stuff. And the contractual stuff usually gets in the way of the other stuff, and you kind of have to work around that and stuff. So I've got a lot of that going on. And then on top of that, the podcast just makes it just that little extra bit harder. We moved away from video podcasts a while ago, hoping that would help. And that certainly did help quite a bit. That cut back on the time that it takes to make one of these things and get it out there, probably by about half. But it still takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it's not just the sitting and recording for an hour and a half, 2 hours, but it's writing a script for a couple of hours. It's then the back end editing, which can take me 2 or 3 hours. It's the scheduling, it's all that kind of stuff. And when you got a 1-person team or a 2-person team trying to get all this stuff together, it's kind of tricky.
Because you're the one that does it. You do all your own editing and your recording and all that sort of stuff as well. So that's difficult. If they had people around you that were editing and all those sorts of things, this sort of thing becomes more pleasurable because you don't have to spend all that time and effort doing it. And particularly with something that's sort of hard to grow and it's been sort of stagnant for quite a while, and getting growth is the hard part. So
well, that's the thing. I kind of dived into the analytics, and You can look at like the graph of how your podcast has grown, and you really want to see that going up. You really want to see that kind of peaking and going up and up and up. I looked at it for the entire year and a half we've been doing it, and it's literally been stagnant the entire time. There's been little periods where it spikes up and grows a little bit, and then it just rapidly drops back down to this kind of base level. So it's really difficult to get a podcast out there. YouTube's difficult to get out there, but YouTube has the algorithm that will push content out if the video's doing well, if it's something that people want to watch. I don't believe there is really such a thing going on with podcasts, unless you have like a super successful episode and then it gets pushed out to like the home pages and stuff. But I don't think that kind of algorithmical, like, hey, you listen to this, why not try this? It might be similar, or that kind of thing. I don't think it's as precise with podcasts, and it's very hard to figure out how to grow a podcast. And I don't know, like you said, it could be that it's just such a oversaturated market. I think we've done okay in such an oversaturated market. It could be that. It could be the fact that we're just producing stuff that a very small audience
that is shit
want to listen to, or who knows? It could be a wide variety of things. But it is, when you take in all these factors into account, and it starts to feel like a chore. That's the point when you have to go, all right, I think this is where we close the curtains.
Yep.
Because it's not fair on us to keep pushing ourselves through something that we're not particularly... Like, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy sitting here and doing it. It's all the stuff around it and the ramifications of having to produce this thing on all my other content where I make my living is, the major part. But it's not fair on us to kind of push ourselves through that. And it's not fair on the listeners if we're then, as a result, producing subpar content.
That's right.
So, I don't want to sit here and produce a podcast that is not the best we can do because we've lost kind of, the momentum or the enjoyment of it all.
Mm.
We took that time off too, sort of over the period when I left Australia, came over here over Christmas and all that kind of shit. We took like 2 months off the podcast or whatever it was.
Yeah. It was
and I kind of realized in that time how much I enjoyed not having to do it. We've been, the last month or two last year, a few months last year probably, just trying to struggle to kind of figure out how to do things easier and more efficiently. When I didn't have to do it, I realized it was just everything else became so much easier for me.
Yeah.
All my videos became easier, and just the idea of having to do all this extra work, I realized, this is so great not having to do the podcast. As soon as we come back into it, it all came back like, oh yeah, this is how much work it is to put into one of these things. And sort of realized like, oh yeah, I did enjoy not having to do this.
And within that, I mean, the thing you have to be careful of is burnout.
Exactly.
Because the amount of time you spend editing and recording and doing all that sort of stuff, like you're doing, 10, 12, 14-hour days nearly every day, almost 7 days a week, some instances.
About that.
So you've got to be careful that, of burnout,
Well, yeah, it's not so much that this takes me away from other work, but it takes me away from just
living life,
having the time to chill out.
Yeah.
And I had that time over the period, and I love just having the flexibility of being able to do my videos in the time that they needed to be done, but also having that time to just chill out as well. And it might not be much, but again, the podcast takes up the 5 days.
Yep.
Like an entire work week of a month.
And that's 5 days you could be spending with Alicia or
exactly right.
relaxing and enjoying life again.
The definition of burnout is putting a lot of effort into something and not getting the reward.
Yep.
And we do get the reward. We have people listening and writing in and all that stuff, and we do really appreciate that and stuff. But it's like when you can't grow something and you're putting so much effort into it, you burn out. So I feel like we've reached the point of burnout with the podcast, but I don't want that to then
filter over into everything else.
Yeah, filters over into the YouTube stuff, and I just burn out completely. So it's just one little extra thing that, for now, just needs to go until the eventual day where I can hire people to do shit for me, which might be a little while off still, but yeah. So it just comes the time where it's like, all right, I think it's time to just, like we've tried so many different things, like format changing it, we just can't peg it down. And I think we just need time, and I know we've just taken like 2 months off, but we need time to sort of go, okay, well, what can we do next? Whether that's a monthly show where it's like more focused on a specific topic, or we dive into particular movies, or, each episode on one of our favorite movies, or just, something like that. I feel like might be a better thing to do and might have better luck, but I think it might be a while till we tackle something like that. Because you just have to sort of get all these working parts and try to figure something out. But yeah, I think that's I think that about says it all.
It's been good fun. It's been great.
It's been great.
It's been great fun doing it. But as you said, comes a time when you've got to realise that it's taking up time where time needs to be used for other things, and it's about that time.
Let's get into today's show. This isn't the last show. We've got this one, and we're going to do one next week as well, just to kind of close it all off. And we feel like we thought we'd do the right thing and sort of give the heads up and go, all right, we're going to end it next week, as opposed to, all right, this is the last one. See you later. So we're going to do a show next week, and then that's sort of it.
And you watch it spike next week. Everyone
probably.
Get on you.
Yeah.
Woohoo, they're gone.
Best episode ever. Best episode ever. Yeah, so good. So anyway, so get on there. Drop us some reviews and ratings. We actually haven't had any since last September, which is disappointing. But so get on there and just spam it. Spam it. But anyway, right. Let's get on to today's. Let's get on to today's show. We've pissed on long enough.
What a picture! Good picture. Yeah, that'd be so much fun.
All right, this is what we've been watching this week.
Exactly right.
Which I feel like has been getting less and less every week.
And I pressed the right button too, which was good.
You did. Congratulations. Well done. You've been all right.
Didn't have to be prompted.
Hey, I finally got through all the DreamWorks movies.
Oh, what a chore. My God. How many?
42.
Oh, I don't know if I could have done that. Not in the short period of time that you've done it. I think I've probably watched them all, but, not over the space of a month or whatever it's been for you.
It's not been that. I mean, like, we watch something on telly every day. You watch an episode of a TV show every day.
Yeah.
Watch a movie a couple of times a week. But it was once a day, basically, for 2 months or 3 months, or however long it's taken me to do it. A lot of them are just crap, man. I realised a lot of them are just absolute shite. I had to watch Boss Baby 2 the other day. Man. Actually better than the first.
Yeah.
But still just crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, crap. Boss Baby. Crap. What else did I watch this week? Oh my gosh. Spirit. Stallion of the Cimarron.
What the?
No. Spirit Unchained? Spirit Untamed.
Untamed, that's right.
Yeah. Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron was the original one from the 1990s with Matt Damon. Traditionally animated one. Beautiful film. Gorgeously animated film. This new one. Crap. It is. They did this Netflix series which was based on the original movie. But the Netflix series is geared towards like young audiences. Like very, very small market. Young girls who love horses. Like children who love horses. And this movie is like a spin-off of the Netflix series animated by an outsourced company. DreamWorks didn't even do the animation on it. But they released it theatrically for some reason. Now DreamWorks have done quite a lot of like stuff for streaming services. So Netflix have done a lot of television shows. They've done a couple of straight to streaming movies. This is essentially one of them, but it got a theatrical release for some reason. And it's awful. It's terrible. I think for its intended audience, it's probably great. It's probably like young kids who love horses will probably love it, but it's awful. The animation is crap. You can tell the budget is really, really low on this thing. It looks like something that would have been produced 20 years ago.
Okay.
It's bad. Jake Gyllenhaal's in it.
Oh, really?
That's a draw. Yeah, and he sounds like he doesn't care. He's like, just give me some money. Hi, I'm a cowboy. Look, my horse over here. This is very cool. Anyway, so I got to the bottom of the bunch for the DreamWorks movies, and thank the Lord that's all over. But the good thing is with that is that I've written 5 scripts as a result of that. 5 months worth of content I've written. So I'm going to be doing ranking videos. I'm going to do 4 era rankings. It's basically like 10, like a decade at a time, or like half a decade at a time. And then I'm going to do like all of them ranked together. So that's all written, which is great. So I can just sort of like, I've got some content banked, which is awesome.
That's good.
So I've finished the DreamWorks stuff. That's basically all that's taken up my movie watching this week. Because I'm now down to like one movie a day now. So I was doing like, when I could afford the time, January, early February, wake up, watch one, and then I'd watch the DreamWorks one after that. But now DreamWorks ones are done, I'm just back to like one a morning, which is good. And then I can get into work earlier. But that's about all. That's about all that's taken up my catalogue viewing. As far as newish releases, the French Dispatch finally landed on Disney Plus.
Yep.
Over here in the UK. It's been over there for maybe 1 or 2 weeks. I think it's been on Disney Plus over there.
Yeah. Well, I watched it. I watched it last week.
You watched it, yeah. I think you watched it last weekend, but it's been, but I think it's been on a couple of weeks prior to that.
Yeah, it was.
I think what Disney Plus does is it's like a 45 day window in cinemas. And then it goes on Disney Plus after the 45 days. So it depends on when the movie has been released in cinemas in that country will depend on when it then goes on Disney Plus.
Right.
So it's a couple of countries have different sort of timings or whatever. What did you think about it? This is, of course, Wes Anderson's latest movie. It's got his regular cast. There's dozens and dozens of people in this.
Oh, yeah.
Off the top of my head, Owen Wilson, Bill Murray, Elizabeth Moss, Tilda Swinton, Benicio del Toro.
Yeah. The German guy, what's his name?
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz, that's right.
Lea Seydoux.
Huge cast.
Everyone.
Huge.
Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Everyone that you would imagine. Adam Brody.
Yeah, that's right.
Just everyone. Or Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody.
Adrian. Yeah.
Adam Brody is the guy from the OC. I always get the names mixed up. Yeah. But anyway, what did you think about this one? This is Wes Anderson's, and you're a big fan of Wes Anderson's stuff,
I love Wes Anderson's work. I mean, he's got him and his what do you call him? DOP's director of photography.
Yeah.
They work really well together, and they've got a beautiful photographic eye. And as we all know, I'm a photographer, and I see things through a photographer's eye, and their framing and lighting and stuff is just absolutely gorgeous on nearly everything they do. I loved this film, but the issue I had with it was every shot was the same. Those panning through scenes and through rooms and all those sorts of things, and that got a little bit tedious. Even though the shots were beautiful in and of themselves, I still enjoyed the film, but towards the end I got a little bit bored with that that panning through scenes sort of shot. But everything was beautifully framed and symmetrical, and it was just beautifully made. But it was a bit too much, I thought.
Well, a lot of people have said. I read a short review by my pal Austin Burke over on his Letterboxd, and his review started with something like, I think this is the most Wes Anderson that Wes Anderson has ever Wes Anderson. And I thought, I'd agree that's with true. That. It's very much, it's everything that you would imagine from a Wes Anderson movie dialed up to like 1,000.
Yep.
It's like he's just gone all out. Of course, as you said, visual style is incredible. Like, it's gorgeous to look at and everything he does, but it is a lot. My biggest issue was that this is really the first time he's tackled a sort of anthology feature.
Yep.
He's done a lot of movies in the past where you have sort of a large ensemble and then you've got sort of smaller sort of set pieces that all kind of link up at the end. I think like a Budapest Hotel was sort of similar to that.
Yeah.
And even he works a lot of stuff where it's like swapping different timelines and stuff. Like Steve Zissou did that a lot, where he kind of swapped between flashbacks and whatever else. But this is the first sort of like where it's essentially just a bunch of short films stitched back to back that really have no
real connection.
Other than the fact that there's this framing device that every one of these short films is a story in this newspaper called the French Dispatch.
I found a little bit disconnected in that regard as well.
I found the stories weren't at all that interesting.
No, exactly right.
Performances were great. Characters, I couldn't find any connection to any of the characters. And I think it was just it becomes very tedious very quickly when all these little things just don't really work. I really loved that first story with Benicio del Toro as the serial killer who becomes like this maestro artist, and you've got Aidan Brody in there, Leia Seydoux. I thought that was really great. I was really into that. And then the further it goes on, and that opening bit with Owen Wilson where he does like the little travelogue thing, I think was just terrific.
On the bike was fantastic.
Yeah, so great. But then it's sort of just, the further it goes, I just lost less and less interest in it. Of course, there's that one with Timothy Chalamet, who, as you know, not a fan, and I just think he was the most boring part of the movie. So plain and just uninteresting. This could be my bias. I just think that's what he's like in everything he does. But I just lost interest, I think. I liked the movie, and as I said, visually, artistically, gorgeous. But I just don't think it worked, unfortunately. I hope we don't see another one of these anthology pieces from him again. Yeah, I think this could have maybe... I think maybe this could have worked as like a limited series. I mean, I know not everything needs to be a limited series, but if he did something like this, which was like an anthology series about the French Dispatch, and each episode was a different story... I think that could work. Yeah. I mean, the who was it? There's the Coen brothers. They did that Buster Scruggs. Oh yeah. Was that a film? I can't remember if that was that a film? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think so.
Yeah. So my connection has gone out the window, but because that originally started as a anthology series and then they turned it into a film. But as I was remembering it, I was thinking, it was started as a film and then turned into a series. But no, it was the other way around. But I don't know. Anyway, Wes Anderson's great. Movie was all right. I was a bit disappointed though.
That was the thing that kept me interested, was the visual element of it. But and you're right. I found it a little difficult to follow in some parts because nothing connected. Yeah. And you're right. For me, the best part of the film was the Owen Wilson part, and the Benicio del Toro story. That was probably the best out of the four stories,
something like that.
And it almost felt, as you said, the further it went into the film, it's almost like he was struggling for ideas, and just pieced it together, sort of thing. Obviously, he didn't, but that's just how it felt. But I still enjoyed it, and I think it was just that visual, artistic element that really kept me involved.
I don't know if you felt the same. Most of the movies in black and white, some gorgeous black and white photography. I love black and white photography. But I just don't think that worked for a Wes Anderson movie. His movies feel so much about the colours. The weird colours that he chooses. Like when you go from the black and white stuff to a colour segment, you're just like blown away again to another level. Like the kind of soft colours he uses, the soft palette sort of colours, the pastel colours, just beautiful, just make up this weird and wacky world of Wes Anderson. When you go into black and white, I feel like you lose just a little bit of that kind of artistic zing, might be the word, for the lack of a better word. But
it could probably have worked as muted colour, like just desaturated colour. That would have been quite beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, some of that black and white stuff probably didn't work. Yeah, I can see where you're coming with that.
But yeah, so that was it for kind of the newish releases. New releases, you wouldn't have seen any of these just yet. No. I'll make it quick.
No.
I checked out Uncharted last Friday. This is the new one with Mark Wahlberg and
terrible.
and Tom Spiderman.
Tom.
I loved this. I loved it. Yeah, I know people are going to be groaning. Oh, no. This is based on a video game series that I have no connection. I've never played a game. I have no knowledge of it. I have no connection to this IP whatsoever. And I went into this and just loved it. Just a dumb, fun, action-adventure, sort of pulpy romp, to use my trademark term, retweeted by The Rock 2020.
Trademark Dave Lee 2021.
I'm still annoyed they didn't use that in the Jungle Cruise marketing, by the way.
Used under copyright.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, I loved it. I just thought it was just a really stupid, just fucking action adventure thing, like an Indiana Jones, but really dumb. Like there's a bit where, I'm not really spoiling anything because it's in the trailers. There's a bit where they in like this massive ship carrier, and then they open the back of the carrier and all these cars fly out and these big like crates fly out.
You mean aircraft carrier? Not aircraft carrier. Cargo plane.
Yeah, big cargo ship, like a military thing, and all this shit's flying out the back, and then they jump out the back and like they're jumping on all the boxes, the crates and the car, like grabbing onto the car and shit as it all flies down. Oh no, I don't have my parachute, all this kind of shit. I'm just loving it. Stuff my face with popcorn. I thought it was great. But of course, all the people who've actually played the games and know something about this are like, this is nothing like the games. What the fuck is this movie? Apparently, I've heard most people are saying Tom Spider-Man is pretty good in it, but everyone's like, Mark Wahlberg is so miscast here in this role. Yeah, people are just like, this is awful. People who love the game just hate it. Hate this thing. I loved it. I just stuffed my face with popcorn and just... It's got a 6.8 rating on IMDb.
It just sounds like it's something that you can just go and switch your brain off and just enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing it, to be honest.
You find it's got a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's critics. Doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
And you're one.
Doesn't have an audience. Well, yeah, but I haven't logged my critic review on there. But there hasn't got an audience review yet because I think it opens in America today, and it's just opened in Australia this week. But for some reason, they opened it in the UK. Now, how weird's this? They opened it in the UK last week, and then it opened in the US this week. And the media embargo, the review embargo for US critics, wasn't until this week.
Oh.
So people in Britain have been able to see it for a whole week, been able to log their reviews, all that shit. But the American press has been under embargo, which is mad. Same thing happened.
You've had the same issue, haven't you?
Well, yeah, but that's a little bit different. It's usually when there's a film in the Australian market that is delayed from overseas, and they're like, we'd prefer you not to post anything until it's released to help the marketing of the film. But in this case, it's just weird that a film opens on a massive market like UK, and the US, which is the biggest market, are then barred from saying anything. It's pretty weird. It doesn't happen that often. It happened last year actually with King Kong versus Godzilla, whatever that movie was, Godzilla v Kong, because that opened in Australia like 2 weeks early, and we were allowed to post reviews, and then the US critics were embargoed for like 2 weeks. So it does happen, but not often. So yeah, it's got decent reviews. I think you find with a lot of these things is that the general audience will eat it up. The general audience fucking loves it. But those who are familiar with the IP hate it. Yeah. It's a similar thing you see with like Star Wars. Like a new Star Wars movie, the general public's like, yeah, so good. But then when you dive into the fandom, the fans are like, fuck this, I hate it, it's the worst. But that's the stuff you hear the most. You hear the negative kind of side of it, whereas the general public you don't really hear from that much. Yeah. So I would recommend going and seeing it. I really enjoyed it, but I love these kind of action adventure things. It's the kind of shit that I grew up with. We talk about, the Indiana Joneses and Romancing the Stone, and it's very similar, like Jungle Cruise, kind of Pirates of the Caribbean, pulpy action adventure shit. I just loved it. Jumanji, that kind of stuff. I thought it was a lot of fun. We also saw Marry Me. This is the latest rom-com. J-Lo is back doing rom-coms with J-Lo and Owen Wilson and a couple of other people in here. Sarah Silverman is in it. I thought it was okay. I actually thought it was pretty good. It's your typical little rom-com-y sort of thing. Of course, it's come out for Valentine's Day, which was last Monday, I think. So it sort of came out the week before. We went and saw Uncharted on Friday night, and then I said to Alicia, all right, we will go and see Marry Me this weekend. So I thought I'd do the right thing.
That was your make-good film, was it?
Yeah. But she enjoyed both of them. I enjoyed it too. I thought it was good. You know, I like a good rom-com. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. Sometimes, J-Lo never really did the greatest movies. But this is probably on the higher kind of level of what she's done. I did quite enjoy it. And she is good in it. And Owen Wilson's great as always.
That's probably the only reason to see it was for Owen Wilson for me. I love him.
I'll turn up for J-Lo every time.
I just see her name on stuff and think, I don't know.
Yeah. But it was okay. It's very much like a 90s rom-com, the kind of movie you would have got in the 90s. And it's the kind of stuff you don't really get anymore. They don't make rom-coms like this anymore. So it was pretty cool to just go to a movie and go to a cinema and watch a movie like that you would have gone to a cinema and seen 20 years ago. It was just a cool thing to go and see in a movie. Everything these days is big blockbusters now, and all these smaller movies go to streaming or whatever. It's nice to see a small film like this on the big screen. I thought it was good. I thought it was quite a little charming little rom-com thing. It's very similar to like Notting Hill, where normal everyday guy falls in love with like this international superstar, whatever.
And you love that film.
Oh, Notting Hill is my favourite. One of my favourite movies of all time. Favourite rom-com and just one of my favourite movies ever. But I was watching it thinking, I'd rather be watching Notting Hill right now. I don't know if I ever told the story on the podcast about when I actually went to Notting Hill last time I was in England.
Can't remember.
Can't remember. But I was bugging Alicia for ages. I want to go to Notting Hill. I want to see the blue door. She's like, what the hell are you talking about, blue door? You can see a blue door. I can see a blue door from my little window up here, right? It's like such a normal thing over here. Houses with painted doors. It's a foreign concept back home. You don't get that. It's just brown, white, yellow door, whatever. But here, you've got red doors, blue doors, green doors, every doors. And I'm like, I want to see the blue door. She's like, why do you want to see a blue door? I said, it's from Notting Hill. Eventually, she finally relented and was like, fine, we'll go to Notting Hill. And we went there. I was so excited. Went down Portobello Road, very happy, which is, that scene in the movie where, goes through all the seasons and he walks down the road to Ain't No Sunshine. And it's just like, goes through all the seasons of the year, that big, beautiful tracking shot. So I walked down Portobello Road. I was like, this is great. Found a little bookshop that it was filmed at. Found the bookshop that inspired the bookshop in the film. I was loving it. And then I was like, all right, we have to find the house. We have to find the house with the blue door. And we did find it. Found the street. Thought, here it is. Blue door on the corner. Had this like like emergency tape on it, the red and white tape, God. All taped up, falling apart. The sort of cornicing, like the frame, all falling apart, and it was all taped up. It's like, no. So I've got this photo of me at the blue door in Notting Hill. It's just a disaster behind.
Now, tell me, when you were walking down the road, were you singing that song in your head?
Of course I was. Yeah, of course.
And walking along like you were Hugh Grant?
Yeah. I was probably singing it too and pissing Alicia off, to be honest. Yeah. But there were these two American. I remember these two American tourists were there as well, and they were so angry. They're like, "Oh my God, came all this way to see the Notting Hill door, and it's." I was just like, I was laughing. I was like, "Oh, you can't do anything about it. It's just so funny." So my photo with the Notting Hill door is just fucking in a disaster zone. But anyway,
what are they stressing out? They had a 6-hour flight to get there. You had a 24-hour flight to get there.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. Stop complaining. But anyway, so back on track. Marry Me was quite good. Really, I thought it was enjoyable. And then that same day, we went to the movies. We went home. We had dinner. Then we went back to the cinema to check out the Beatles, the Rooftop performance in the IMAX.
Yeah.
We were going to see it this Wednesday because they had screenings up until this Wednesday. And then just after I'd booked those Marry Me tickets on Sunday, I thought I better check the Beatles timings and probably book my session for Wednesday. And I got to Wednesday on the listing and it was gone. I thought, what the hell? I checked Tuesday because it was a Tuesday screening. Nothing. I thought, what the fuck has happened? Go to Sunday. There's one on in the afternoon. And so they have like this little chat on the website where you can like chat in and be like, hey. So I chatted. I'm like, hey, I realized there was, there were screenings for this Beatles thing throughout the week and then they're not there anymore. Have they been cancelled or something? The person was like, no, that was an error. I was like, okay. She's like, we're only screening it until it was like the last IMAX session was that day on the Sunday. So I was lucky I checked because I would have missed it. So anyway, I booked that ticket and we saw the J-Lo film. Then we went home, had dinner, came back to the cinema and saw the Beatles Rooftop performance in IMAX. There's no ways missing it at the IMAX. Really good. Really cool experience.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, really good. Really, 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 really good.
Do I need to check it out here if it's on?
Yeah, it should still be on. I'd certainly look into checking it out. The picture quality isn't great. Because of all the DNR work and stuff that has been done on it. It doesn't really pull up that great on the big screen, but it is still cool to see it on a huge screen, and I think the audio was probably the best part of it all. Just that awesome IMAX surround, whatever sound system they use is just fucking awesome. Really cool experience to see. It's like the best thing next to being at a Beatles concert, probably.
Oh, God.
People were loving it. The audience was loving it. There was this old lady down the front who was just like clapping. At the end of every song, she was clapping and she was like dancing.
Good on her.
So
when you say
funny.
old lady, you're talking about my age?
No, probably older. Probably like, maybe a little older. Maybe 10 years older than you, but 10, 15 years older. But I thought it was great. Really good experience. Of course, it's basically, it is like the last hour of the Get Back documentary.
Oh.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's they play, the beginning of that first episode begins with like a all that text on the screen sort of explains about the Beatles' career and this is where they are now. Sort of starts with that. It's a little bit modified because it kind of goes over the series. The Beatles have been recording at Leavesden Studios, blah, blah, blah. Tensions are high. They've now decided they wanted to do a show and then they cancelled ideas for the show and now they've decided to do it on the rooftop. And then it just plays out that last hour of the documentary bit by bit. No editing done. It's just like bang. But it was so cool just to see. It's like you go to the cinema. It's an hour and 5 minutes, this piece. But it was really good. I enjoyed it. Alicia enjoyed it too. She came along to see it. She quite enjoyed it too. So it was, fun. So if it is still playing, I think it's still playing in Australia.
I'm just checking out the website now, and it seems to be... tomorrow, Sunday. That's all they got up.
Yeah, that might be
tomorrow
it. Because they were still playing it here through the week, but only in the regular sessions, not the IMAX.
Oh,
so
right.
last Sunday was the last IMAX. Otherwise, Uncharted has the monopoly on the IMAX screen at the moment. Here, you will get one movie in that IMAX screen, and it just plays for like a month, a month and a half. Spider-Man has only just left that IMAX screen. It's just been playing continuously. So tonight we're going to go and see Death on the Nile, which is of course the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express, the new one. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Kenneth Branagh and the entire cast. So we'll report back on that next week, I suppose, on the final podcast. But so I'm looking forward to that one. Apparently it's all right. I thought the first one was all right, so I look forward to this. Just another fun sort of murder mystery that we'll check out. Anything else you've been watching this week, movie-wise? Probably not much.
I've not watched any movies this week. Just been a little busy watching Married at First Sight, to be honest.
Oh, yeah,
and getting a laugh out of the bunny boiler and a couple of the other characters on that.
Right. They're going to be playing that here, but I don't know when. So I'm looking forward to that, getting my fix of crappy Australian reality TV.
Well, reality's a bit of a stretch.
Well, maths has always been staged.
Apparently there's about 7 of them are paid actors, apparently.
Yeah, they are every year. There's always at least 2 or 3 stories that come out every year that's like, oh, this guy's an actor, this guy's an actor, these two knew each other. Here's a picture of these two people together from 15 years ago. So it's all staged, but it's a bit of fun. So I think they're playing that here soon, the Australian version. I'm not sure when, but yeah. Television-wise, not much different for us this week. Been watching Euphoria still into season 2, which is really good. Killing Eve, we're still waiting for it to get really good. It's getting better, but still waiting for it to get really good. Other than that, I think that's about it. We haven't had a lot of time to watch telly this week for one reason or another. Because I've been doing like cartoon news shit.
Yeah, you've been busy.
I thought, oh yeah, cartoon news is usually in the morning for me over in Australia. It'll be like mid-afternoon in the UK. No, a lot of this stuff drops at like 7:30 p.m. So they go straight onto it. So there's a couple of nights there where I was doing that. Alicia had football games to watch. So she's watching the soccer, etc. So we didn't get a lot of telly in this week. I started watching Last Man Standing. This is that Tim Allen sitcom that started probably 10 years ago.
Yep.
I vaguely remember watching this when it first started. I don't know if we watched a full season or we just watched maybe a few episodes of it.
Yeah, I think it was only a few episodes. I don't think it was a full season.
But it's actually very good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big Tim Allen fan. I love Home Improvement. One of my favourite shows ever. Watched that multiple times. The Santa Claus, one of our favourite movies ever. I reckon Home Improvement was probably the first sitcom I would have ever really watched. I remember that I quite literally grew up on Home Improvement. It was always on.
That was 90s, mid-90s?
Very early 90s. Yeah. I think it ended in 97. So I think it probably started, I think it might have started 91 even. So the year I was born, 91 or 92, it predates Friends. And then it ended just before the 90s ended. It's 97, 98, 99 maybe. But I always remember you watching that. And I think that and maybe Married with Children. That and Married with Children, I think, are probably the first 2 sitcoms I ever really have memories of watching. I remember recording the very last episode of Home Improvement on VHS. And I made you draw up like a little cover of it. You draw these little tools and stuff. And I coloured it in. I've probably still got that somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it started in 91, finished in 99.
There you go. So it was the 90s.
It was a great show.
Very nice.
I loved it. Loved that show.
But Last Man Standing is very good.
I must check it out. I remember, as you said, we watched a few episodes. I don't think it was many, but enjoyed that. But it was just one of those things that didn't really fit in with our viewing schedule, I suppose, and our lifestyle at the time. So I need to go back and have a look at it.
You kind of put off these newer sitcoms. I don't like a lot of new sort of contemporary sitcoms. But this does feel kind of very classic, particularly with Tim Allen in the lead. And it's hard sometimes to go, oh, I've watched this guy in one sitcom and loved it. It's then hard to kind of disassociate them with that character and watch them as someone else.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Like with Kevin James, I love King of Queens, but I can't get into any of the stuff he's done after it. So maybe that's like a big part of why it's taken me so long to get into this. But I do feel like the character feels very similar to Tim the Tool Man.
Oh, it's kind of
that same sort of, that's his shtick, really, isn't it? It's the Tim Allen's kind of character.
I think both shows are really based on his stand-up stuff.
Yeah, this is similar, where he's a family man, but he's got his family's like 3 daughters instead of the 3 sons that was Home Improvement. So it's very similar. It's hard to tell because a lot of these shows start off a bit rocky, where the cast isn't quite gelling together or anything yet. So I'm still waiting for the cast to kind of get into the groove. I understand they change a couple of the actors too. They just change the character. They change actors for a couple of the characters throughout the series. Went for 9 seasons. It only just finished last year. Finished last year.
Wow.
I had no idea it was still going that long. But it has like 200 something episodes. So I've been watching that as my morning show, and then Alicia has now decided, I wouldn't mind watching this, so now it's become my evening show.
Is she enjoying it?
Yeah, she loves Tim Allen, which is funny. She said she just loves him in every movie that she's seen him in. I don't think she's ever watched Home Improvement, but she liked him. So that's like a new evening show now. I've got to find a new morning show. I think I might give that Always Sunny in Philadelphia a go.
Yeah,
Everyone's
I've
always
never
telling me
watched
to
any of that.
get on that. Yeah, apparently that's very, very good.
Mm.
But otherwise, what television have you been watching? Anything in particular?
I don't know whether I mentioned it to you or not, but I've just got onto one called Fleabag.
Oh yeah, we talked about this last week.
Do we? Yeah. No.
You'd only watched one at that point, though.
Yeah, I think I'm just about finished the first season. I think there's only 2 seasons, both 6 episodes or something. So I've done 5. Yeah. We've done 5 episodes now, and it is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good stuff.
Got to check it out.
Yeah, you need to have a look at it, and you'll really enjoy it. I think it's one Alicia will really enjoy too.
Yeah, I asked Alicia. I said, "Have you heard of this? Would you want to watch it?" She said, "Yeah, I'll watch that." So
yeah,
once we finish one of our other little shows, we'll get.
She's a real, not Alicia, but the character. She's a real tortured, twisted soul. I tell you, she's fantastic. Really, really enjoying it. In fact, the whole cast. I think it's got. What's her name? Is it Olivia Colman in it?
Yeah, Olivia Colman's in it.
And she's fantastic in it as well. She plays the part of her Fleabag's father's girlfriend. Because her mother had passed away a couple of years earlier or something, and now he's tracking square with with the Olivia Colman's character, and that's a really good dynamic, those two. So it's really good fun. And even her sister, like she's her sister's a bit. Oh, it's hard to explain. She sort of, doesn't like to be touched, and she's very private. And Fleabag's trying to get everything, get stuff out of her, and she won't tell her anything. And it's a really good dynamic. You'll really enjoy it, and I think Alicia will really enjoy it too. So you want to check it out.
Yeah, we'll check that out soon. I think because we're nearly done Euphoria.
Yeah.
Because we're into season 2, which is actually playing on television at the moment. So we'll catch up with that. And then Killing Eve will probably go on for a little while, but yeah.
Yeah, and another one we've gone back and restarted was Ozark.
Oh yeah.
Because I think we only really watched a few episodes of that, didn't we?
No, Well, I looked at your Netflix. You watched the whole first season except for the last ep.
Oh, okay. So
I watched most of it as well, but I never really enjoyed it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, we're sort of really enjoying it this time around.
But you always liked it. You always thought it was great.
Yeah. I did. It's just really. It's a really sort of. It's almost a little bit offbeat, and you don't really expect Jason Bateman to be playing that type of character. But it's we're sort of really loving. I think we're about only 5 or 6 episodes in.
Right.
But absolutely loving that.
Another one I've been trying to watch is one I've been wanting to watch for years, is Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, I remember a guy we used to work with, John.
Yeah.
He used to talk about that all the time. He used to love it.
It is. I think.
He told us we should get into it.
I think it's another Deadwood, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I'm just sitting there waiting for something to happen, and it's slow, and it's boring, and it's hard to follow. I'm into the 2nd season now. As of course, Cillian Murphy is in the main role. Tom Hardy's just shown up in the episode I watched last night, which is like season 2, episode 2. It's just hard, so hard to get into. I think I'm going to continue for a bit longer but it's just hard. It's hard to follow. It's like an hour too, so it's like it's a BBC like hour long. Same with Deadwood. There was like that full hour show. It's just hard, particularly when you watch it late at night. It's hard to focus on. But I'm trying to get into it, but I feel like it is another Deadwood, sadly.
Oh, it's a shame.
Yeah.
So that's what your listeners are going to miss.
I know. Yeah, my Peaky Blinders
update.
update. Apparently, Anya Taylor-Joy comes into it sort of in the later seasons as well. So just sort of all these really great actors that are in it. Sam Neill is in it in the first few seasons. He's quite good. but I'm just waiting for something to like. There's been a couple of really great episodes, and it's usually the one. Same with Deadwood, where like the violence picks up. It's like, yeah, it's fucking awesome. These gangs going at each other, and then the next episode is like back to just sitting around a room talking. I'm like, fucking hell. Alicia loved it, but then she also said she had nothing else to watch at the time. It was just one of those things everyone was watching it every single week and just watched it. So I'll probably continue with that, but we'll see how it goes.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Other than that, that is this week's edition of...
What a picture.
Good picture. Yeah. That'd be so much fun.
We'll briefly spotlight a couple of sponsors. Of course, Random Space Media have just released a couple of really awesome box sets. They've just put out a massive 42-movie DreamWorks animation collection. Awesome box set.
Awesome.
They sent that in.
It is awesome.
I've just done a video unboxing review of that, which you can check out on the channel on YouTube. They've released a M. Night Shyamalan collection as well, which I think is like 6 films.
6 films.
6 movies, which is like most of his really good stuff. They've also released. There's one in there called Old. I don't think we've watched that, have we? We watched that like 2 months
have
ago.
We?
We watched it just before I left. It's the one on the beach.
Oh, okay.
Where everyone turns old on the beach.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that's
like
right.
his newest one.
Did.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't blame you for not remembering it.
No. Well, it's not just because it was crap. It's probably just because I'm old.
Yeah, probably a bit of both. Yeah, old.
There
you go. Yeah. They've also put out Hotel Transylvania 2 in 3D, which I believe is a world exclusive for that. I think all 3 of those sets are world exclusives, which is awesome. So you can head over to randomspacemedia.com and pick them up. Also, kicks.com.au, you can head over there and use the code DAVE15 at checkout for 15% off. That's still active. We'll continue throughout the year, even once the podcast is over, because they're sponsoring the YouTube channel, not really the podcast. So, head over there, kicks.com.au, DAVE15. Now it's time for this week's edition of...
Oh, hang on, I just pressed the wrong button. This week's edition of...
Shite.
Or...
Alright.
Shite Or Alright.
Finally got it.
So we're back to Shite Or Alright this week. We were going to do this thing where every second week we do Shite Or Alright, and then every other week we do like a game. We only had the one game sent in to us. But this week was Shite Or Alright week anyway. So if you do want to submit, I don't know what we're going to do next week, whether we're going to play just a random game or whether we'll just do one last Shite Or Alright. We'll figure it out. But anyway, this week Jeff has written in, because last week he missed the deadline.
Monkey boy.
Yeah, monkey. Our worker monkey. I think he submitted last week, but forgot the week before. I don't know. But he's written in this week.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
He's written in this week. He says, "Hey there, guys. I learned my lesson about telling bad jokes last week. Took a shot to the stones over those. I have to say, the game last week, how was I supposed to score that shite? You are both terrible. I listened to it 3 times trying to figure out a way to score it, and I couldn't for the life of me come up with anything. I'm pretty sure that no one is ahead anymore. You're tied. Just fantastically awful. Check the score from last week. Ha ha ha. Bunch of laughing faces. Hasn't even bothered to send in a score sheet this week. I did do Jeff the diligence of letting him know that we're wrapping up the pod, so I think he's probably just going, oh, fuck it, I'm not going to do a score sheet this week. He sent me a bunch of messages on Instagram as well, that he stuff that he forgot to write into his email. I think he just says, I'd like to recommend everyone watch the new show Bel Air, which is that new like dramatic remake of Fresh Prince.
Yep.
He says, like the original show...
But they've been punishing the ads for that here.
Oh, really? I didn't even know it had started, to be honest. He says, it's like the original show if you took all the comedy out and made it gritty. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it started here yet, but they've been punishing ads about it.
Yeah, I don't know if it started at all. I haven't seen anything for it here. I don't know if it's playing on anything or whatever, but I'm keen to check that one out. Because I do love Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and this actually looks quite cool. So, oh yeah, it is. It's on Sky. All right, so I might check that out. Interesting. Thanks for the recommendation, Jeff, and everyone else. Get on it. All right, so let's play Shite Or Alright this week. You know the deal. We find movies that are either shite or alright, and we guess whether they're shite or alright based on the synopsis and the synopsis only. And of course, we base whether the movie is shite or alright based on its IMDb score. Anything under a 5 is shite. Anything over a 5, 5.5 is alright. Is that right? No.
No, 5.9.
5.9, yeah. Oh, yeah.
5.9 and below is shite,
Yeah.
and 6 and above is all right.
62 episodes in, I still can't get that right. But there we go. Let's play it. We've got, you've got 2, I've got 2. How about, I think it's my turn this week, so I'm going to read one first.
Okay.
Okay, so firstly, let's read one that's coming from Lewis Glover. When 19-year-old Adam agrees to do a day's driving for his mum's gangster boyfriend Peter, he takes him on a 24-hour journey into a nightmarish world of murder, sex trafficking, and revenge in the company of an aging hitman, Roy.
Sounds like a really crappy sort of crime comedy sort of. I'm going to say it's going to be shite.
You say it's going to be shite?
Yeah, we're going to
Lock it in.
Shite.
It is an absolute shite. It's got well, not an absolute shite. It's just on the border. It is a 5.9.
Oh.
This one's called The Liability. It's from 2012. It stars Tim Roth and a bunch of other people. Peter Mullen, you know his face. A bunch of other randoms I've never seen before. Oh no, there's quite a few people in there where you know their face. It looks like a sort of Guy Ritchie sort of rip-off sort of thing.
Oh, right, okay.
Looks very much like a sort of Guy Ritchie thing. But there you go. It's called The Liability.
Sounds like a bit of trash to me, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't look very good.
Anyway,
Doesn't look very good at all.
I'll give you one, and this one
Yep.
comes to us from Devesh.
Devesh.
You know what that means?
Oh, you got to take a drink. Oh, yeah.
Okay. This one is to pay for her education at the chance of a better life, a young woman joins a dangerous scrap metal crew.
Oh. Scrap metal crew. Don't know. Doesn't sound great. I don't know what it is.
To pay for her education and the chance of a better life, a young woman joins a dangerous scrap metal crew.
Don't know. I'm going to say maybe alright. It might be alright. Yeah, I'm going to say it's alright. But just.
Alright.
There we go.
It's a film called Holler, and it's got a 6.2. So, yeah, it's only just an alright.
Just.
Directed by Nicole Regal. No one you'd really know. Jessica Barden, Pamela Adlon. Yeah, so you're lucky. Because it sounds like shit to me.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright, let me give you one. This one is, I was almost the name of the movie there. This one comes into us from Jeff B, I believe.
Jeff. Yep.
Which is strange because it's not a monkey movie for once.
Oh.
Yeah. This one is still a stranger to her own body. A high school student discovers she has a physical advantage when she becomes the object of male violence.
Oh, give me that again.
Still a stranger to her own body, a high school student discovers she has a physical advantage when she becomes the object of male violence.
It doesn't sound great though. I don't know. It'll be crap. I'm gonna say that's gonna be another crap film. Yep.
Yeah?
Yep. Lock it in. Lock it in.
It is.
Shite.
Yeah. It is a absolute shite. This movie is called Teeth.
Never heard of it.
2017, and if I'm correct, I have to double check this. I think this is the movie where the girl finds that her lady parts have got teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have heard about that.
Yeah. It's got a 5.4. So it just looks like a really sort of trashy horror film. There's not really anyone in there that you'd know either. Oh, there's a few people, a few faces, but no one you really know by name. But there you go. Yeah.
All right, your second one comes
Yeah.
to us from Tyson Turner.
Ah, Tyson, yes.
Okay, two directionless sisters have a... start again. Two directionless sisters brave a cross-country road trip to rescue their grandmother from a COVID outbreak at her nursing home.
Oh my God, COVID movies.
Yep. Well, it has been around for 2 years now.
It's got to be shite. Sounds shite.
You reckon it's shite?
Yeah, it sounds shite.
I think just because it's got it's about the COVID outbreak that it's shite.
That's what I reckon. It just sounds crap too, generally.
Shite.
Yeah.
It's 5.9. Movie called Recovery.
Oh.
And again, it's no one of any real note in it, I don't think. Anyway, a couple of shite ones there, I tell you.
Some very, very shite ones this week. That was, of course, this week's edition of
Shite.
Or
Alright.
All right, so with that segment comes the beginning of another segment that the world's worst manager believes shouldn't be a segment. It is... Trailer Trash. This is a segment where we take a look at a trailer which may or may not be trash. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new release trailer for the latest film from Baz Luhrmann, who we're both, well, I'm a big fan of. I don't know if you're a big fan of Baz. I know you like a couple of his movies.
yeah,
We'll love a couple of his movies.
don't like one or two of them, but in general, I like his work.
This is his latest film. It's a bit different to anything he's done before. This is called Elvis. This is his biopic on Elvis. This one stars Austin Butler, who's sort of a newcomer. He's playing the role of Elvis Presley. And Tom Hanks is in here as the Colonel. A few other faces in here as well. Let's take a look at the trailer.
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
Tomorrow, all of America will be talking about Elvis Presley.
I can't move, I can't sing.
We are the same, you and I. We are two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity.
All right, so that is Baz Luhrmann's Elvis.
I
your
think
thoughts?
I think I might reserve my judgment on that.
No, go on.
Oh, I don't know. I don't get a good feeling on it. Look, it might be fantastic, and I'll reserve my judgment until I see it. But the young guy there that plays Elvis, just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, a few people have said the same.
Looks like a really bad imitation.
Yeah, it's weird. That's the hard thing with a lot of these biopics, is like it's just so hard to believe in a lot of the people that play these characters.
Yeah.
But it depends on the take. Like, this is Baz Luhrmann, it's going to be highly stylized and over the top. But judging by this trailer, it doesn't even really feel like a Baz Luhrmann movie. This just feels straight. It's just, I'm not sure.
It feels like as you said, it doesn't feel like a Baz Luhrmann film. It feels like a straight film, like a serious film.
Feels like a more traditional
Yeah.
biopic as opposed to
A Baz Luhrmann stylized type, yeah.
Great Gatsby or something like that. You can see a lot of his visual sort of flair in there. I have a feeling, I know the Elvis estate is involved in this. They would have had to have been, they wouldn't have had to have been, but I'm sure they're involved in it. Looks like they filmed at Graceland. They've obviously got the rights to use the music. I saw the Elvis official accounts plugging the movie. I think they would have had a very big input into how he was able to approach the story, perhaps.
Maybe.
I feel like this could be maybe one of Luhrmann's most straightforward, more traditional, maybe commercial films.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's going to be it's hard to tell, but you never know. That might just be how they suck you in with the trailer to make it look a bit more traditional. But I'm keen to see it. Traditionally, these Elvis, there have been a few biopics on Elvis. There was one John Carpenter did many, many years ago, probably in the 70s, 80s, with Kurt Russell.
Yeah, that's right.
And that
Yep.
was okay. That's probably the best one they've done, and that was just reasonable. So I'm interested. I'm a big Elvis fan, of course. I'm a big Baz Luhrmann fan too, so I'll be there straight away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be. I want to see more. I'm not entirely sold on Austin Butler either.
No.
And Tom Hanks in that fat suit doing a funny accent feels a bit weird as well. But we'll see. We'll reserve the judgment until, as you said, until the movie comes out.
And I think they've probably had to be really careful how they tackle the subject because it's, because he's still an incredibly popular, figure in popular culture. So, yeah, you're probably right. He's probably had to be really careful how he's tackled the Elvis subject, I suppose.
Yeah,
because they can be fairly fanatic. They can be fairly fanatical, fans. The Elvis fans. So we'll see.
that one comes out June 24th in the US and the UK, and June 23rd in Australia. I'm looking forward to that. I have already reached out to my pals over at Warner Brothers to please let me just speak to anyone involved in the movie. I think it'd be awesome. So we'll see if anything pulls through from that. Hey, what was that? What was that? What is that? Oh, of course, that is the next segment.
Of course it is.
It's the news. We're not going to spend a lot of time on news today. We do want to wrap up the show pretty quickly. But there was one major news piece this week that going to be a bit remiss of us not to mention. That was, of course, the death of prolific filmmaker, comedic filmmaker, Ivan Reitman, who died at the age of 75 during the week. He's one of my favourite filmmakers. I grew up on pretty much all of his films. And he directed 18 movies. He only directed 18
Is
movies,
that all?
which was a surprise.
I thought it would have been more than that.
Yeah, no, he directed 18 films and produced over 70 films and television series.
Oh, God.
I've got, if you look at your run sheet there, I've pretty much listed everything that he was involved in.
Yeah.
Some of my favorites, of course, you got the Stripes, the original Ghostbusters films, Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, Junior, which was Schwarzenegger and DeVito again,
Yep.
Dave, that was that great
That
one
was great.
with Kevin Kline.
He was the president, yeah.
He did 6 Days, 7 Nights, which was like that adventure film with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Was that Meg Ryan as well?
No, it was. I don't think it was Meg Ryan.
Anne Heche.
That's right, Anne Heche.
He did Evolution. Do you remember Evolution? This is one that came out
I loved Evolution or Evolution.
2001.
Yeah, it's only got a 6 or a 6.1 rating or something, but I actually really enjoyed it.
It's a cult film.
Yeah.
I loved it at the time. It's the one with David Duchovny,
Yeah.
Julianne Moore, Sean William Scott. This is my era growing up with movies like this. I thought it was such a good film.
Don't imagine it would have held up very well either.
I don't know. I know it's still quite beloved film. They've just released it on Blu-ray over in the States, so I've got to try and get my hands on that. But yeah, I really love that. Otherwise, he did some of his more recent stuff. He kind of didn't do a lot. 2006, he did My Super Ex-Girlfriend, which was quite good.
Yep.
That was Owen Wilson and Uma Thurman.
That's
It's
right.
like a superhero. No Strings Attached.
I don't remember
of
that
course,
one.
2011. Yeah, that was Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher.
Oh,
Kevin Kline.
yes, that's right.
Came out the exact same year as Friends with Benefits.
Yep.
With Mila Kunis and who's the dude in that one? Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. That was,
Yeah,
in fact,
which was
that,
good
that
too.
was, those two films were a subject of one of our Shite Or Alrights early on, I think.
Yeah, that's right. They did come up on Shite Or Alright. No Strings Attached was my personal favourite one. No doubt. It's got Natalie Portman and
of
is
course.
and is a Ivan Reitman film, which I never realised actually.
Ah.
But there you go. That is such a great little movie. And he directed his most recent film was 2014's Draft Day
Oh, yeah.
with Kevin Costner.
Yeah, good film. Loved it.
Really
But
good
I love
movie.
the sport films.
But such a odd thing for him to have done. If you look back at the rest of his stuff that I've just rattled off, very different, but such a great movie.
Yep.
But like you can't go past Stripes and Ghostbusters, just early classic.
Stripes is one of my all-time favourite comedy films.
Yeah,
love it.
Got that on 4K recently. That was part of that Columbia Classics 4K box set. So I'm keen to check that out in 4K. Another one he did, one of his earliest movies, was called Meatballs.
Yeah,
this is one
that.
of Bill Murray's earliest ones as well, where he's like he's a counselor, student counselor at like a youth camp thing. So funny. I saw it for the first time a year or two ago. I think Umbrella put a DVD of it out, or Viavision. One of them put out the DVD. And it's such a funny movie. Really, really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, I do remember that. No, it's a lovely, not a lovely film, but I love the film, and it's But I don't think it's got a high rating either. But that's another one of those.
I think it's one of those ones that sort of has like another a cult following.
Yeah.
It's not one that is like an absolute classic, but it has a cult following. It's got a 6.2.
Oh, there you go.
I thought it was really, really quite good when I checked it out. Other movies that he's been involved in as a producer, stuff like Animal House, one called Heavy Metal, which is this one of the first adult animated films. It's just sort of not adult, like sort of like a adult animation. It's actually, I think Umbrella are about to issue Heavy Metal on Blu-ray, so I'm looking forward to that. He produced Legal Eagles, Kindergarten Cop, Stop or My Mum Will Shoot, Beethoven, Space Jam, Father's Day, one of my favourite movies. He directed that too. I love that movie. Robin Williams and Billy Crystal. So good. They both find out that they were with this one woman. They both, I think, believe that the son was theirs. Yeah. And then they have to go and find the son when he's run away. She contacts them and says, go and find your son. So they have to team up. Such a good little... I think it's got a crap rating. But I would recommend anyone who has a chance to try and track that down. I don't know if it's got a 5.3, but I loved it. It was one we had on VHS, and I wore the tape out. So good. He produced Road Trip, Old School, Euro Trip, Disturbia, I Love You Man, another one of my favourites. Up in the Air, which I believe was directed by his son, Jason Reitman, No Strings, Said No Strings. Hitchcock, Baywatch, the new Baywatch, Father Figures, the new Ghostbusters. He had a couple of movies in production as a director too. He was going to be doing a sequel to Twins called Triplets, which would have been Schwarzenegger, DeVito, and Tracy Morgan. Don't know if that's going to happen now. I really hope it does, because that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
And he was also producing a musical comedy called Summer of Love with Shawn Mendes. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with those two projects now that he's sadly passed away. Whether his son takes them on or they just sort of...
You would probably imagine
fizzle
so.
away. Yeah, maybe.
His son's making a name for himself anyway. So why wouldn't he take them over and complete his dad's work for him?
That's about all the news I think I rounded up this week. I just thought we'd better touch on that. And we're on an hour and a half now, so I think it's time to... That's right, close out the show. All right, thank you all for listening. We've appreciated you joining us for our second last episode, which is a bit of a surprise to you guys. Look, the podcast goes out, well, it goes out every Monday, but it goes out next Monday and this Monday, obviously. And for the next two episodes, of course, patrons will get that early access. If you go to patreon.com/DaveLeeDownUnder, sign up for as little as $1 a month. You can support it for the last couple of weeks, whatever else. But yeah, so the podcast will be on for the next 2 weeks. And then I'm essentially going to cancel the provider, what do you call it? The
host?
The podcast host, which means I think the podcast will be ripped down from the audio platforms. I'm not too sure, but they'll still be on YouTube if you want to go back and listen to like the back catalogue of it all. It's all on there. If you want to write into the show for the last episode, you can shoot an email to davidlypod@gmail.com. We'd love to get listeners involved for the last show. Write in, tell us your favourite moments, if you had favourite moments, whatever. We'd just love to hear from some of the listeners for the last show. We'll read out some emails if we get any in. If you are listening on podcast platform, please leave a review and a rating. It should help for the next couple of weeks.
Don't care if the good ones or bad ones anymore.
Yeah, at this point. We appreciate anything, any feedback. YouTube preview. Last week I dropped my Jetsons Cartoon Evolution. Finally got that one out. I'm just working on one for March, which I really want out in like the first couple of weeks. So I'm going to absolutely crunch on that. Oh, I'm yawning. That's how early this still is. Of course, there's a bunch of cartoon news dropped this week as well. There was info on a new Wile E. Coyote movie that's going to star John Cena in a live-action role. Sounds pretty funny. They've announced Sonic movie, the third one, before the second one's even come out. It's going to be a series as well. And they've just announced 4 new SpongeBob movies. You can check them out on my YouTube or on the Cartoon News. Also did a trailer breakdown for the upcoming Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie, which is headed to Disney Plus later in the year. Next week, or this week, I'm not too sure what's going to go up on the channel. I'm really going to be crunching on this Cartoon Evolution. There'll probably be some new stories and stuff coming up as well. But other than that, that is it. Thank you again for tuning in to our second last show. We do hope to have you join us next week for the finale. And we appreciate it all. Thanks to our old mate Rick for joining along for the show once again.
Thanks, Dave. Been a pleasure.
Yes, and we'll see you all next week.
Take care, everybody.
Take it easy.
Stay healthy. Stay at home. Go to work. Do whatever you want to do, really. Just stay healthy.